Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free.
Welcome back to the podcast. This is the Equally Yoked Show, and I'm so glad that you are here again for another live show. We are going to be helping you stay level-headed on this playing field. Hopefully, we can provide you with some excellent information concerning all the things that we've got in the news that came, of course, yesterday and today. There's a lot to cover, so I hope that I can bring you into sort of my point of view, into a way that we can, in a way that I can help you understand how everything is sort of, where everything is. So I'm going to bring you over to, for a moment, to the start of the conversation, because this is absolutely wild. What we're seeing here is the California mayor now issuing a mass ICE tracker app. This is what we're seeing with the Democrat Party potentially putting in danger the lives of these ICE agents. Now, there have been some comments regarding this from some top representatives of the Trump administration. So we're going to be hopefully taking a look at some of those things when I find them for you. But otherwise, if you guys are just joining me for the first time, please like, please share, please subscribe. And let me know where you're watching from so I can get a better idea as to where my audience is coming from, because I love to know who I'm speaking to. Otherwise, let's get started. One second, guys. Let me get the audio for you here.
Share this with the mayor. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on.
What's going on? What do we got here? What's going on? Well, guys, we're having a little bit of difficulties here. Otherwise, we're going to get started. Let's just refresh this page.
Over the course of the next
here we
couple
go.
of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker, where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on. I shared this with the mayor. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker.
Yeah, something's going on with...
We're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on.
Yeah, so what has been happening prior to this is we've had people, independent people that were essentially creating apps for those to go on the app. Anybody who's an illegal immigrant to go on the app and to see where ICE is, because they're warning where you should stay away from. And a lot of these app creators, a lot of these contributors were actually getting arrested because they were aiding in these operations, or rather than not aiding in operations, but they were preventing, or they were stopping, or what is it called? Somebody in the chat, help me out here. The obstruction of justice is what I'm trying to go. Obstruction of justice, and they are basically trying to prevent them from doing their jobs and making their jobs even more dangerous. Because if they wanted to, or if people wanted to, Americans wanted to, what they could have done is they could have, or even Antifa could have gone to where these ICE agents are and most certainly harmed them, or cause some sort of ruckus, or some sort of riots, or whatever the case is. We've seen a lot of this stuff happen as of in the recent past concerning ICE agents. I mean, this is something that is so huge, with ICE being in different cities, being in different states where they are not welcomed, and people are protesting them. People are blocking their exits to prevent them from doing their job. And this is the main talking point with everybody, conservatives, and even the left. Some of them, not all of them, some of them are saying, look, the majority of the people voted Trump into office to conduct what he wanted to do as far as the promises that he made during his campaign. And one of them, of course, being the fact that one of the major issues was mass deportations and trying to keep our country safe from many of these criminals that have killed Americans, raped Americans, and so much other terrible things. And we're going to look at that in a moment with what Caroline Levitt says concerning the government shutdown and who, or what this money, the tax credits have been going towards for some of these violent criminals that have come into the country. Now, they're coming from everywhere. A lot of them gang members. So much stuff. So let's continue on here. So that's what you saw here. And of course, not a lot of people are a fan of Stephen Miller, but for a moment, let's check out the credits, or the comments of this video, because sometimes a lot of people like to bring up a bunch of different stuff concerning what is happening. So it says, none of this matters. If you take no action, we post on Twitter because it is all we can do. You're the one with power. Somebody posted this. It says 10 U.S. Code 252, use of militia and armed forces to enforce federal authority. It says whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages or rebellion against the authority of the United States may make it impracticable to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings. He may call into federal service such of the militia of any state and such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws, which he has been doing. And people are saying this is way out of his jurisdiction. Way out of his jurisdiction, but he's not. He's way within his powers to do so. So this is what we're seeing in California. But not only that are we seeing in California, we're also seeing Gavin Newsom, which I'll take you here in a moment, but he's saying, look, coming soon, new knee pads for all CEOs, universities, and GOPs bending the knee to Donald Trump as if we're worshiping the guy. This guy's not a king. This guy's not an idol. And this guy is most certainly not the Christ. He's not the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. He's just a man. However, he is the president of the United States of America, and he has most certainly the power to do within his, executive branch to conduct the operations in order to keep this country running. Here we go. It says, coming soon, As I said, knee pads for all of these people groups, as your knees look very sore from all your groveling. They will even be signed by your dear leader since you love him so much. You are welcome. Here we go. This is him mocking Gavin Newsom. He's not looking too popular. He really isn't. Let's check it out.
You will be seeing on my Patriot site new knee pads that I'll be sending out, the new signature series knee pads for all these CEOs, for the University of Virginia that I'll add to the list today, for bending their knee, for those law firms, the universities, media companies, as this guy's rolling back, rewriting history, putting us back to pre-1960s world, censoring historic facts. Wake up, everybody. You will be seen on my Patriot site.
What's funny is that this is kind of ironic because Gavin Newsom, let me see if I can find the, here we go. This is what I need to show you. Okay, I'm going to bring up a new tab here. Gavin Newsom. Newsom jokes that people compare him to God. So California Governor Gavin Newsom has joked that people appear to confuse him with God. I don't know how you can confuse him, a man, with God. This guy is nowhere even near practicing anything with regards to the Bible, to Scripture, Catholicism, Christianity, anything. The Judeo-Christian text says the statement appears on his press office account, which he has devoted to attempts to parody President Donald Trump. Yet he's calling us, or CEOs or universities, that we're bending the knee. So let's continue on here because there's so much to cover, so much to go over. And we're looking at what is happening right before our eyes. This is right after the court allowed Trump to deploy troops to Portland. Cleanup crews moved in, and the Antifa camps outside the ICE facility was suddenly cleared out. Perfect timing. The streets clean up fast when leadership steps in. Here's that clip for you. Now, I wonder if that music in the background is just a little bit of a troll. But you hear, it's time to clean up. What is going on? But where are they? Where do they all go?
Smile, you're on candid camera. You know it's a job, sir. You know you could just get a different job. It's a choice. It's literally a choice. You chose. So don't pick it up.
He says, so when Trump does it, it's okay, but not Gavin. Okay, got it. No, Gavin Newsom is a completely delusional governor. I mean, he's making posts, he's making merchandise, he's making a lot of these weird posts in the sort of same similar style as Donald Trump. Like, I don't know what he's trying to do here on his X account. The sort of way that he's communicating himself. This guy is, I don't know. I don't even know how or if he even will qualify. He's going to qualify. No, that's not the doubt here. For the fact that he is, the way he's acting online and how he's trying to sort of, I don't know, it seemed like he was trying to step towards the center because he was too far left. But he's doing a terrible job at it. We've seen what happened during the interview with him and Charlie Kirk. He was talking about the fact that, about the boys in women's restroom or the locker rooms or the changing rooms. And you know what? I just have to go to that clip for you, and just so you can see it for yourself, because this is important. Because of what he most certainly here. I have to go there. Just let me play this clip for you so I can find it for you, because otherwise I'm not going to give you the full clear picture without, getting things out of context or misquoting. So we're going to play a little bit of this press secretary clip where she's actually going over what Trump is going to be doing very soon as far as traveling. Let's go there. I mean, he's already going to other nations to meet with China, to meet with the new prime minister of Japan, to meet with in South Korea, I believe. She goes on about all these different places that who he's meeting with. They're even going to start talking about there's the APAC dinner or lunch or whatever it is. They're going to go into that. So whatever is going to come out of that, I mean, I don't know. But everybody is saying in the chat, what has been said in this chat is we need to get pulled. We need to, stop it with APAC. America needs to back out of APAC. Okay, so let me take you over there to that clip, and we can watch Caroline Levitt while I find this Gavin Newsom interview.
We'll begin today with some scheduling announcements for President Trump's upcoming trip to Asia. Tomorrow night at 11 p.m., the president will depart the White House to fly to Malaysia, where he will arrive on Sunday morning local time. It's a long flight. President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Malaysia in the afternoon, and then he will attend the ASEAN Leaders Working Dinner that evening. On Monday morning local time, the president will fly to Tokyo. Tuesday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the new Prime Minister of Japan. On Wednesday morning local time, the president will fly to Busan, where he will participate in a bilateral meeting with the President of the Republic of Korea, deliver keynote remarks at the APEC CEO luncheon, and then participate in a U.S. APEC Leaders Working Dinner. On Thursday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with President Xi of the People's Republic of China before departing to return home to Washington, D.C. On Thursday night, upon arrival in Washington, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will participate in Halloween at the White House, where they will welcome law enforcement, military, and foster families. And I know many of us look forward to that. In other news, we are now on day 23 of the Democrat government shutdown. Senate Democrats have voted 12 separate times now to keep the government closed. Innocent Americans are suffering every day as a result. More than 500,000 civilian federal employees will miss a full paycheck tomorrow. Thousands of small business loans are going unapproved each month. This means almost $4 billion in capital is being withheld from small businesses across the country. The Democrat shutdown is also causing severe impacts at airports across the country. In one single day this week, the FAA had to issue ground stops impacting flights at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport and Hobby Airport. 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that we all fly safely are continuing to work without pay. This is egregious and truly sad. Some of them are reportedly being forced to turn to driving for Uber and taking on other second jobs to make ends meet as the Democrats continue to shut down the government. Pilots are calling on Democrats to end this dangerous political game. The president of the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association called for the clean continuing resolution to be passed, saying, quote, "Our air traffic controllers and the broader air traffic system are already operating under immense pressure. A government shutdown only compounds that stress and threatens the efficiency of our skies." The Airline Pilots Association International, which represents more than 80,000 pilots, is sounding the alarm as well. They said this shutdown is undermining our system's safety. Resources are stretched thin, negotiations are delayed, and strain grows daily. With the Thanksgiving holiday approaching, we are nearing the busiest travel period of the entire year, when millions of Americans will go to airports to spend time with their loved ones. Let us be very clear from the White House today. If the Democrats continue to keep the government closed, we fear there will be significant flight delays, disruptions, and cancellations in major airports across the country this holiday season. If Democrats continue to shut down the government, they will also be shutting down American air travel. The White House is in constant communication with the air traffic controllers, with the airline associations, and with them, we urge Democrats to please pass the continuing resolution so we can just end this madness and this chaos and reopen the government.
Now, this is interesting because we're going to look at an article in a moment from Catherine, who actually talks about that this is their leveraging point, and she's really going for it. And we're going to look at the article, we're going to look at the video, and what's being played is a shorter clip, but I've got the original article so we can show a little bit longer and go from there. So this is going to be Gavin Newsom. We have his original podcast with Charlie Kirk, but I'm going to take a look at this. They play the clip here, and he's basically making a reversal on some policies. And so let's take you there for a moment. Let's see here. This might actually, you know what? This is not going to be it. So anyway, let me just take you to the original podcast, and we can take a look, try to find it for you. I'm going to find the transcript moment so that we can just jump right into it, because Charlie Kirk and Gavin Newsom are really going back and forth at this, and this is probably going to be one of the only best podcasts that he'll ever do. Gavin Newsom, that is. This might
Would
be
you
around
do
the,
something?
But he said he single-handedly destroyed California, essentially. That was earlier. I lost the comment, but otherwise, so he's really going for it. Charlie's going to keep on pressing him, but this is the article that is tied to what I was trying to tell you about concerning Gavin Newsom and just the nonsense that he's continuing to show us, that he's not really truthful to his word. So this is Newsom signs law to approve athlete equity study as more California schools oppose males in girls sports. So this is this video. This is, I believe, the clip. So let's take a look at what actually is being said here. Now, this is Steve Hilton, who's running for governor in the 2026 governor race. And so let's take a look at what Steve says in this article.
Here with more, California Republican gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, in all honesty, I did at one point have a good relationship with Gavin, then it gets hostile. And we actually had a really good exchange over Charlie Kirk. I can disclose that part. And then this happens, on Saturday. What is going on out there?
Well, I just don't know, Sean. He's turned into this ridiculous fool, this puffed up buffoon of a governor now, with these pathetic juvenile posts on X trolling the president, his increasingly bizarre hand gestures all the time. Meanwhile, as you say, nothing is being done to solve the problems that they created. I could add to your list of everything going wrong in California. Right now in California, we have the highest unemployment rate in America. We have the highest poverty rate in America, the highest costs for everything that matters. Electricity, gas, housing, rent, everything is a disaster. We got the worst business climate, all because of their far left ideological crusades, including on climate, that's making everything so expensive. What's he doing about any of that? Absolutely nothing. And in many ways, you could say is probably just as well that he's not doing his job as governor, because when he is doing his job, he just makes everything worse. Look, we need a change in California. That's why I'm running for governor. On all those issues, we've got to focus on making life better for working class Californians, for small businesses. I used to be a small business owner. They're being crushed by these policies. And when you talk about crime and the border and the sanctuary state policies, we need a governor that is going to enforce the law and work with the president and the administration to enforce the law as well.
Now, most certainly Gavin Newsom is at every turn opposing Trump on everything that Trump is trying to help him on, such as the wildfires, such as the Palisades, Malibu, all of that stuff. And what is what does Gavin keep doing? Keeps turning away, or rather keeps making and trying to make laws in California for Trump to not do certain things. We've seen that with ICE. We've seen that with many other things, that he's constantly at opposition with Donald Trump. And he is the, prime example of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Prime example.
And turn things around. We can't let California continue to slide into decay and decline like this.
Is there a number, how many billions of dollars are spent on services? And that would be Medi-Cal, I believe you call it, your state medical care, yes. And schools and law enforcement, et cetera. Any numbers, any estimates about how much the state is spending on illegal immigrants based on the sanctuary state policy that they have?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly identify the number on healthcare, because that was a new program that Gavin Newsom bragged about adding. And then also he lied about it. He said that he was restricting it in response to the outcry. But in this year's budget, the spending has gone up from just over $9 billion to over $12 billion just on the healthcare part.
Now, Trump has mentioned during one of the meetings that they had with really his whole cabinet there, and he's talking about San Francisco, that he wants to bring in the National Guard. I believe it's the National Guard to clean up San Francisco. But the tech giants there and those who are there in San Francisco actually want to take it upon themselves to clean up the streets. And so he's letting them do so up until they can't. So we'll see what happens from this point on. But I do want to get a little bit more from this podcast here. Sorry, my daughter. Podcast here, and see exactly what the contingents are being made here. By the way, I want to mention a comment here. Mike Mad Dog, you say in the Ninth Circuit Court decided that Trump can use the National Guard. Yes. That's absolute yes. So people that are opposing, saying he's way out of his executive powers. No, he's within his executive powers.
The world are incarcerated.
So, by the way, a comment that says, so you're super cool with fascism. First of all, I want you to define fascism for me. And also, too, do you not want our states safe at all? Do you want them riddled with drug addicts, crime through the roof? Do you want America safe at all? Or do you like it the way it is? Because the last 4 years, I can tell you, the last 4 years of the Biden administration has been absolutely terrible. And what we've been seeing more and more trickling into our cities is this rise of Islam. A lot of you disagree with me on the chat as far as I'm not saying necessarily like this type of Islamic takeover, but this has been something that has been in the works for years and years and years, where they're starting to do things like the call to prayer, which there was a cop in Dearborn, Michigan. He's actually a Muslim, comes from a Muslim family, comes from Muslim parents. And he's saying the church, or the church bells are, we'll go to that video in a moment. I wasn't planning to play that video, but we'll go. Now, for those in the comments that are saying that I'm a fascist, essentially, that I'm basically leading with this religious authoritarianism. Do we remember, did we forget how Biden was running the country? How him and Gavin Newsom and many others were trying to silence Christians, even Christians from singing. This comes from Gavin Newsom. But no, it's fine. We can leave all the pubs open. We can leave all of the bars open. We can leave all of the pubs and bars, the same thing. We can leave all of the strip clubs open. That's no problem. That's fine. Let all those run. Churches, they got to close down. Biden inserting FBI agents into congregations of a Catholic church. What is that about? Now, let me just clear the air here about Muslims. I don't have hate towards any Muslim in the sense that Muslims who are practicing Islam, most of them can generally be nice. They're not practicing Islam to the core of what it is. The core of Islam, in Article 3 in their charter, this is a quote from their charter. The basic structure of the Islamic resistance movement consists of Muslims who have given their allegiance to Allah, whom they truly worship. The quote is, I have created the jinn and humans only for the purpose of worshiping. It says, who know their duty towards themselves, their families, and country. In all that, they fear Allah and raise the banner of jihad in the face of the oppressors, so that they would rid the land and the people of their uncleanness, vileness, and evils. That is a direct quote. With Sharia law, okay, it's derived from the root of jihada, which is jihad, which refers to the intellectual effort to acquire legal or religious ruling. And by the way, to your comment, YouTube Punk, you say you understand not every Muslim is a radical, right? Yes, I'm telling you right now. Maybe you're just catching up in the chat. And there's no Christian Sharia law. First of all, Sharia law only is a Islamic resistance movement in the Islamic charter. So you can't mix those two together, first of all. And secondly, why is it bad to go back to how the founders originally intended America to be, which was a sort of Christian nation? Christian values, Judeo-Christian values. No, but you're saying, by the way, YouTube Punk, you're saying stop talking like they are. But you're missing everything that I've been showing you. Or actually, you've been here for most of them. But maybe you're not seeing it. Because somebody like Mamdani, who's practicing taqiyya, who's a Muslim, and when you're looking at what Muslims and their religion, and even based on Sharia law, that you cannot support, or you cannot, anything that has to do with LGBTQ, transgenderism, or anything like that, what happens in those countries that anybody comes out as that, is open about that? They're often killed in their streets. And not often, it happens. They're thrown off of buildings. So this whole Queers for Palestine, look, it fits the media narrative that they're trying to push in America so that they can garner support for Hamas. But then we look at the fact that they're literally executing their own citizens, the ones that they rule over in Gaza. And I said, where are they all at? Where are all the Free Palestine protesters? Everybody said, oh, they're at the No Kings protest. But did you see anybody protesting Free Palestine? No. They're protesting No Kings. They moved on to the next big thing. Look, I could be wrong, but I could not even see any Palestinian flags being flown at a No Kings protest. I could be absolutely wrong. Maybe there was. But the majority of everyone that I saw with all the videos coming out is people saying No Kings, and even videos of people asking some of these kids, what is the No Kings anyway? Why, all this stuff.
Context.
But you're crazy in the chat, by the way. There's no king in America. There's no king in America. Constantly, the Trump administration is literally being challenged by woke judges, and the administration is constantly pushing back, and they're constantly winning. Just because they put a temporary hold on whatever move they're trying to make, the Trump administration, doesn't mean that they've lost. Because it'll be ruled against in the favor of the American or the Trump administration. in the case of the 9th District. So we're going to continue on here because we've got so much stuff to cover. I can watch this podcast all day with Gavin Newsom, but we're going to go back to we're going to check this out here for a moment. This is Antifa's secret hit listing targeting conservatives. So this is making the rounds on social media. So let's take a look. This is from the Charlie Kirk Show, Jack Posobiec and Andrew Kovic.
There's another story about keeping records, Jack, and this is, of course, the Democrats on the Oversight Committee in the House they've announced a plan to roll out a master online ICE tracker. And this corresponds with a really creepy story that we covered at TPUSA Frontlines about this, basically an Antifa hit list. I want to know what the heck is going on with Democrats keeping lists all of a sudden. And so,
well, it's amazing, right?
Yeah,
so there's no daylight whatsoever between what you see at the Antifa level and what you see at the Democrat level in the House. And this is something where, Harry Sisson asked me the other day, he said,
by the way, I do want to pause here for a moment. Peggy, you're saying there's hate behind these protests. Show me the positive. Show me how you want to improve and work together. Show me something other than hate-filled rhetoric. And Peggy, I think you are right, 100%, because when we're looking at these protests, what do we see? We see 8647 shirts, which means to eliminate the current president of the United States. That's the talk. That's the rhetoric. That's illegal. Okay. Free speech is only free to a certain point. You can't just say everything. You can't go to an airport and saying there's a bomb, because then they'll take that literally and they'll take that as a literal threat. Even if you're just joking, you just can't say things because you want to say them without the sort of repercussions that comes with literally what you say. The tongue is one of the most dangerous things that your body carries, because it can say a whole lot of nonsense, which a lot of you in the chat are saying I'm actually speaking a lot of nonsense. So, but Scripture tells us about the tongue. What does Scripture tell us about the tongue? Out of curiosity, let's go there. It says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. That's Proverbs 18:21. Proverbs 21:23 says, whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble. Psalms 34:13 says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Proverbs 15:4, a gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. Proverbs 12:18, there is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Ephesians 4:29 says, let no corrupt talk come out of your mouths, but only such is good for the building up as it lifts the occasion, and it may give grace to those who hear. So much about the tongue in Scripture. So much about the tongue. Let's continue on here because we've got a whole lot of stuff to continue covering. So we're going to continue playing this clip here of this Antifa hit list.
Are there any high-ranking Democrats who call Republicans fascists and Hitler? I said, what about, yeah, Kamala Harris did when you were campaigning for her. They all do. Joe Biden, you go down the list, right? So what Katie Davis Court and TPUSA Frontlines were able to uncover on the ground, they've gone through Seattle, they've gone through Portland, they've been infiltrating Oakland, California, infiltrating these Antifa cells, and they found hit lists of prominent influencers, reporters, media figures, conservatives, that if you see these people, that you are essentially to fight them, to attack them, and and I'm just going to say it, to kill them. Right? These are kill orders that got put out certainly after the murder of Charlie Kirk and certainly after that White House roundtable that we held talking about Antifa, and that's what they're doing now. And so you can actually see there are certain members of the Turning Point Frontlines team, like Jonathan Cho and Dr. Karlin Borsenko, who joined them as well, that were on the list even as they themselves were there taking the photos and were infiltrated. So they're sitting there taking a picture of their own mugshots, essentially, from this terrorist group. And again, it really just goes to show you that whenever you hear the media, whenever you hear the Democrats say that they don't exist, that Antifa doesn't exist, they have hit lists, they have cells, they have book fairs, they have communes, they have command centers in Seattle that you can go into and infiltrate like Turning Point Frontlines did. And God bless them for going in there, putting themselves in harm's way like this. They literally go to the front lines, and that's why they're called that. Those are the guys who should be called the top influencers. Those are the guys who are the most important, the ones that are actually putting themselves in harm's way. And I used to do stuff like this, but it's actually, there's a piece in the article where Bannon says he chewed me out for, doing this in 2020 because I started to become more recognized by Antifa, and that's what led to that picture of me in the Lincoln Park, the statue of Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, from 2020, squaring off with Antifa because they had recognized me, and I was just there to do a report on what was happening. So you look at all this, and then you combine that with the fact that now we have House members that want to target ICE officers, the same ones who want to bring up January 6th every time they get a chance. They bring up Jan 6, Jan 6, Jan 6, and now you are the ones that are physically doxing, harassing, and targeting federal agents on the street who, by the way, are enforcing the laws that were passed by Congress. That's what federal agents do.
Well, yeah,
they're
Jack,
trying to get people killed.
Wait, is that me on the hit list? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, let me play some of these clips. This is Rep. Robert Garcia. He's a top Democrat on the Oversight Committee, and he's announcing this plan, Cut 243.
I shared this with the mayor. Over the course of the next couple of weeks,
the
the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on.
Yeah, and you saw Karen Bass there, and then we have another disgraced big city mayor. This is Lori Lightfoot, just getting in on the action, 290.
We start the process of unmasking the agents. Even though they're wearing masks, every single one of them has a towel.
You say unmasking, they're going to say you're going to dox them, and that's why threats against them are up.
They are on public property, out in the open. We have an absolute right under our Constitution to be able to document what's happening. Every single one of those agents, height, weight, hair color, they wear their vests in a particular way. They're wearing insignias, even the masks that they wear, the shoes that they wear, the cars that they're driving. We have a right to compile that information.
So she's claiming she has a constitutional right to essentially dox, track, and endanger ICE agents that are enforcing federal immigration law. And by the way, that we're just this policy that of mass deportation.
But by the way, since when has this been okay to prevent law enforcement or any government entity from keeping our streets safe? Let's go back to the Caroline Leavitt post here, YouTube video from the press briefing, because she talks about exactly, I mean, they've gone over this. Kash Patel, Donald Trump talks about this. They talk about the incredible success that they've had in catching a lot of these migrants who've come here causing harm. We saw literally let's take a look at this for a moment. This is, oh, no, this is not it. But I'll get to the article with this 21-year-old who completely slammed a semi-truck, not only just crashing 8 cars, being under the influence, but killing 3, injuring 4. How does a 21-year-old migrant allowed a CDL at 21 years old? Most of these, I mean, it's possible. Obviously, it's possible. You could do it. You could take the test. You can pass. But to for any American, but for somebody who's a migrant, how is that even possible? So what's being said is that this is actually illegal, that California is issuing these CDLs to these migrants, these illegal immigrants. Let's take you to that article. Let me see if I can grab it really quick because it's just tragic. Now, I can't play the video for you. I can't play the video for you on YouTube because I don't know what YouTube is going to do with that. If they're even going to allow it after this is posted. But this is crazy. I mean, let's see. And just his identity was just revealed too. His name. All right, so I'm going to look for that, and while we let this play, I'm going to look for that clip or that article.
These are very avoidable consequences. The unnecessary pain, unfortunately, does not end there. Funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP, which provides food benefits to low-income families, is beginning to lapse this week in some states. If Democrats continue to hold Americans hostage, there will not be enough funds to provide SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans on November 1st. That is next week. Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded health care benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals. During the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats forced Border Patrol to admit illegal aliens into our country with no legal status and minimal screening. A significant number of these individuals are the worst of the worst criminals: rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and even members of the terrorist watch list. Despite having no legal status, paroled aliens were able to file for work authorization, receive Social Security numbers, and access other benefits like Medicaid that are meant for Americans. Since I've found many in this room to repeatedly deny the reality that Democrats gave Medicaid benefits to illegals, and they continue to seek to do just that, I've brought a few verified examples for you today. These are examples of some of the illegals who received Medicaid benefits under President Biden's leadership, and this is what Democrats are wanting to do. This is why they are continuing to keep the government closed. An illegal alien from Laos was arrested for murder, robbery, and felony possession of a firearm. An illegal alien from Guatemala who was arrested for rape and burglary. An illegal alien from El Salvador who was arrested for strangulation, DUI, and burglary. An illegal alien from Mexico who was arrested for attempted murder. The Democrats' open border policies allowed these threats.
Okay, so you just saw what she's showing here on the screen, and we're going to take you over to this article. So it says, illegal immigrant trucker accused in fatal California crash released by Biden admin after 2022 border crossing. Janshanpreet Singh crossed border in 2022, arrested for gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. Okay, so it says a 21-year-old illegal immigrant from India who crossed the southern border in 2022 was released by the Biden administration, is now accused of causing a fiery semi-truck crash that killed 3 people in Southern California. Multiple federal law enforcement sources tell Fox this is according to now, initially, his identity was not even released. Not at first. Not right at first. However, as time went on, we began to this information came out. Why it was being held at first, we don't know. Maybe it was just an investigation that was going on, but eventually we got the information. And it says, according to federal sources, the suspect identified as Janshanpreet Singh was first encountered by Border Patrol agents in California's El Centro sector in March 2022 and released into the interior of the country pending an immigration hearing. Now, that is, of course, during the catch and release policies. I'm going to, we can't keep spamming nonsense, bro. So it says, Singh has now been arrested on suspicion of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated after plowing his big rig into slow-moving traffic on the I-10 freeway in San Bernardino County. Now, this is the wreckage, and you can't even see the white van, the white vehicle that it plowed into initially. It's, almost indistinguishable. Now, there was a post on, I think it was Instagram, where somebody who commented was actually one who did this aerial flight to capture the footage. And he said that you couldn't even distinguish the white van that this truck smashed into. Completely indistinguishable from the air. Now, I believe it's this one here. I'm not exactly sure. So what happened from this point on, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the one right there that is by the big rig, right there, okay, but next to the two people walking, the two officers. Okay, so the big rig and the red semi truck smashed into this pickup truck. Actually, no, I'm sorry, smashed into this one, and then that SUV smashed into this pickup truck and then smashed into this big rig. And then it swerved this way and smashed into two other cars, and other cars were involved. And this was absolutely brutal. So there's an image of the guy. Crazy. But it says, per multiple ICE sources, Janchanpreet Singh, the semi-truck driver suspected of killing 3 people in a DUI crash on the 10 freeway in Ontario, California yesterday, is an Indian illegal alien who was caught and released at the CA border by Biden admin in March 2022. That's just crazy. And everybody's all upset that we're allowing ICE to do their job, that we're not allowing ICE to do that. Everybody's upset that ICE is going in to do their job, is what I'm trying to say. Let me clear that nonsense, that word salad up, whatever that was. Everybody's upset that ICE is going in and conducting their raids, or, I get it. The ones that are acting absolutely crazy. We've seen all this stuff from the very beginning. As soon as the raids started happening, or as soon as ICE started going into these cities, they weren't acting correctly. They were taking down people, all this stuff. I've seen all the videos. I've seen the videos. I'm not saying every ICE agent that is arresting people or whatever is doing things in a sort of, a civil manner. But then we see all these people spitting at them. Throwing things at them, causing so much nonsense that they're literally, their lives are in danger. When their lives are in danger, they're required to take all measures to prevent themselves from dying, because they don't know if they have a weapon. They don't know if they have a knife or a gun or anything like that. Now, again, this is what happened in Florida. I think it was Florida, right? Where there was another truck driver who made an illegal U-turn right in the middle of the freeway. And a car literally smashed right into the side of it. Literally. So they're allowed to come in under the Biden administration, and they're allowed to just kill our own citizens, kill our fellow countrymen, and this is somehow right? That we need to protect these people and allow them to stay here? That doesn't make any sense. I just find that wild. So this is what we're seeing. And it's unfortunate. The crash caught on dash cam left at least 3 people dead and several injured. It says police say Singh never hit the brakes. Wow. Never even hit the brakes. What do we know if this was just this was a targeted attack to just kill American citizens? I don't know. Was that his motive? He was obviously under the influence. But they would most certainly have the dash cam footage from the inside the truck, watching his moves, watching what he did. even, I don't know, getting information from the vehicle. I don't know if they even have that, how they're able to tell that he never hit the brakes. Okay, here we go. It says citing toxicology tests that confirmed impairment. What would that footage have looked like? DHS sources confirm he is not a lawful immigration status and that ICE has lodged an immigration detainer following his arrest. Singh was released under the Biden administration. Again, it says alternatives to detention policy under, says one of several instances Fox News has documented where illegal immigrants released pending hearings went on to commit a crime. Again, going back to what Caroline Levitt is saying about these illegal aliens receiving Medicaid, healthcare. And everybody's saying this is not a thing. This is not happening. That all the right wingers are saying what? That this is that it's all the Republicans are lying. They're giving you the receipts, but then everybody is, as soon as they give receipts, they're saying, well, nah, it's totally a lie. It's so false. They're able to get Social Security cards, or they're able to get ITIN numbers, temporary work authorizations. They're paying into the economy, but they're not receiving the benefits. Baloney.
Into our country, and then they provided them with free health care. The president and Republicans, through the One Big Beautiful Bill, implemented a common sense reform to end this fraudulent scheme. But that's why the Democrats are continuing to shut down the federal government.
By the way, you make a good point, Melissa. You say no brakes equals no skid marks. You're right. Because he was going really fast. Really fast. And again, this is what it is. Never follow up on the lies. Look, they're giving you the receipts here. And then I'm going to show you what the Democrats are saying when it comes to the shutdown and what they're doing.
Are trying to reverse this and restore taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens like these. Throughout this shutdown, Democrats have said this quiet part out loud. Senator Chuck Schumer, the leader of the caucus that is refusing to open the government, said, quote, "Every day gets better as the shutdown continues." Ask the air traffic controllers if every day is getting better, Senator Schumer, and they will tell you absolutely not. House Democrat Catherine Clark said, "There are going to be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility seriously, but this is one of the few leverage points that we have." Here is a House Democrat.
Now, again, this is the quote, but I'm going to take you to the actual article as to where she says this. Okay, this is from the Daily Mail. I'm going to take you over there in a moment. And we're going to look at this as in its context. Because, on this show, we love to go about context and read and understand what exactly is being said here. So if you can read the text, it is quite small. It says a high-ranking Democrat appears to have admitted an inconvenient truth about the government shutdown that has officially entered its fourth week. Massachusetts Representative Catherine Clark, who is a minority whip of the United States House of Representatives, admitted that she views families struggling during the shutdown as leverage for her party in use in political games. Now, the quote is said there, but let's just go to her exact words. Okay, we're not going to go through the whole thing. This whole thing is 28 minutes long. This is from the Daily Mail if you want to look it up yourself. And the moment is around the 10 minute, 20 second mark.
They just receive
no responsibility on the Democrats.
There we go. And it's interesting because she keeps saying the same thing. Many times she says she starts off with the same thing. Shutdowns are terrible. Shutdowns are terrible. Shutdowns. At least 3 times I heard it prior to this statement.
Government shutdowns. Chuck Schumer said a few days ago, and got a lot of criticism for it, that he said the longer this goes on, it's better for us, meaning the Democrats.
Shutdowns are terrible for everybody. But what it
again, shutdowns are terrible for everybody. This is not even the moment. In just 20 seconds in 20 seconds more, we're going to see that she says the same exact thing, same exact point.
Shows here is an absolute failure on the Republicans' part to put the American people first. I mean, the fact
but
that
none
you
of that on
won't.
the Democrat. I mean, again, and I understand the math in the Senate. I understand the healthcare position from the Democrats. No,
There we go.
No responsibility on the Democrats, or at least you don't think that the public will perceive that the Democrats are responsible.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leveraged times.
By the way, stop spamming. You're going to be put on timeout again because you're spamming the same crap. We've talked about Epstein many times. There's no new updates on Epstein. No new updates. What else can we talk about with Epstein? You're spamming the same nonsense. Nobody else can see the chat. Nobody's talking about Epstein because there's no new updates about Epstein. It just isn't. So what exactly else are we going to speculate on Epstein? Again, it's just nonsense. Can't keep speculating about Epstein when we have no information about Epstein. When that comes out, if it comes out, we'll cover it. So knock it off.
We have, it is an inflection point in this budget process where we have tried to get the Republicans to meet with us and prioritize the American.
And again, I'm going to reiterate this comment too. It says, why didn't anyone demand Biden to release Epstein? Absolutely right. Why aren't we talking about that? Whatever is in there is obviously not being released for whatever particular reason if this is still under investigation. This is a whole network of if what Epstein did and all this stuff that came out, most certainly they don't want to compromise any other things that will jeopardize whatever type of investigation for all this to be brought to the light. Again, we just have to wait for more information. Everybody's saying, oh, it's because Pam Bondi already had the files. So it's just crazy.
People, and it's been an absolute refusal. And they were willing to let government shut down when they control the House, the Senate, and the White House, rather than come and talk about an issue as important to the American people.
That's what they're trying to do. But the Dems keep it shut down because of their agenda. As she said in this quote, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. But we're using these families being, suffering as leverage for our party. That is crazy. That is crazy. Interesting. So let's go back. Caroline Levitt is going to say the post again. She's going to make her comments or say the quote again, rather. Because it's most certainly being circulated around because this is their motive. This is their agenda. They have an agenda here. And they don't care if people starve. They don't care if anybody doesn't get their paycheck, especially when we're already living in a hard economy. I mean, Trump is still trying to fix everything in the economy. We saw gas prices at, $3. We're seeing groceries, or rather eggs. We're seeing groceries slowly come down. Slowly. I mean, it's slowly. It's quite a bit of a something that needs to be continued, sort of continue working on to get our economy back in order. And this is why we have to fix what Biden already, was getting us involved in his administration with the Middle Eastern wars, with the Ukrainian-Russian war. And now Trump has to fix all of this so that we can get everybody to stop buying oil from Russia, to start buying American products. The deal that he made with the UK to start buying American-made products. The $10 trillion in investments. Ethan, do you have like 52 accounts that you could just keep coming back and saying the same thing? Is that you? Is that you that I was blocking earlier? Is that the same person? Yeah, Ethan Barrett, you got many different accounts. So don't start spamming again, because then we're going to block all of your 52 accounts, because it's just nonsense. Let people talk. Don't spam the same nonsense.
Who is admitting that they are using Americans who are suffering as political leverage. And Senator Bernie Sanders said, if you reopen the government, we lose our leverage. This is pure partisan games. A senior Democrat aide said the party will not end the shutdown, quote, short of planes falling out of the sky. That is truly a disturbing statement. The Democrats clearly don't care about this suffering. They care about playing political games against President Trump, and this dangerous charade needs to end. The president, in Republicans' position, has been clear and unchanged. Pass a clean, nonpartisan funding bill to reopen the government. And then we can talk about all of the partisan issues that the Democrats wish to. If you're watching at home, we urge you to call your Democrat senators and tell them to put our country over their party and reopen the government today. Here in our new media seat, we have Brittany Gibson of Axios. Brittany, why don't you start us off for our Q&A today? Thank you for being here.
Two questions, if I may, Caroline. First is, we understand that the president and Republicans will not negotiate on ACA extensions until the government reopens. If and when that happens, what does the president think should be, or what are his plans for preventing rising healthcare costs for Americans?
It's a very good question, and I'll leave that to the president to negotiate that when Democrats vote to reopen the government. When it comes to lowering healthcare costs, the president is deeply committed to this. It's why he has spent so much time and effort negotiating with Big Pharma to lower the healthcare costs of prescription drugs. All of you have been in the Oval Office for multiple different announcements. We've had these most favored nations deals with these large pharmaceutical companies committing to lowering drug costs in this country. So it's something the president wants to do. And Brittany, one more point. I'll just point out the irony in Democrats holding the government and the American public hostage over a healthcare system that they created. The healthcare system was called Obamacare. Why? Because Democrats and President Obama implemented. And Republicans have always said it's a broken system, yes, but they caused it, and now they want to shut down the government to fix it. We need to open the government, and then we can have these very important conversations about healthcare.
And the second, on H-1Bs and foreign students.
Hold on. One second. I do have to stop for a comment here. It says, if dude believes in free speech, then he wouldn't block anyone except who spam, yet he was just spamming, and he has multiple accounts to spam with. Literally go up to the comment and you say, you can see literally the same first and last name, Ethan Barrett, whether that's his actual name or not. Then he has different numbers at the end. And he's literally spamming. Spammed twice already. And now he's on another account. So OMG, it's Tara Sue. I don't think you're paying attention. I just had to stop there for a moment because the chat is wild sometimes. But I appreciate you guys for being here, honestly, seriously.
During the campaign, President Trump said he wanted to make it easier for foreign students to work at U.S. companies, staple a green card to every diploma. But the changes from several agencies now on H-1Bs are adding more obstacles to that. The administration is being sued over those changes. Can you explain the changes in the president's thinking on H-1Bs?
Administration will fight these lawsuits in court. The president's main priority has always been to put American workers first, and also to strengthen our visa system. We know for far too long the H-1B visa system has been spammed with fraud, basically, and that's driven down American wages. So the president wants to refine this system, which is part of the reason he implemented.
And by the way, I want to ask you, your unique handle, rather, not you run. Your unique handle too. I want to ask you this. What exactly is this misinformation or this misinformed Christian fascist? What am I misinformed about?
these new policies. These actions are lawful, they are necessary, and we'll continue to fight this battle in court. Garrett.
Two questions on different topics.
Sure.
So we're going to move on here with the questions and everything like that. We're going to get onto some other topics that we have. Now, of course, I want to get a moment here with what Trump is talking about when it comes to crime. And let's see if we can get some of the statistics that he's been that he tells us here in this announcement to nationwide crime crackdown. Okay, so let's go there now.
They called Stephen the other day a very bad name, and I said, you should sue them, Stephen. I think he will. I hope he does. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And I just want to say it's an honor, the job we're doing, and these people are doing absolutely incredible. I'll just add a couple of things. In Memphis, as you know, where the numbers are down in half already, and it's only been about 2 weeks. You're doing a fantastic job there. Thank you. Incredible. Nobody thought it was possible. It was really it was a very sick city. It was horrible what happened there. People would go from, if you're on the board of FedEx, they would ride you 1 block to the hotel. They said you couldn't walk it because it was too dangerous. And they're already feeling better about it. But the best example right now is Washington, D.C. We went from one of the most unsafe places.
I'm going to pause here for a moment because I've gone over this scripture many times with Jeremiah 29, and those who have heard this so many times are probably sick of it at this point, because I often go back to this because somebody just mentioned, you serve a country, a flag, a man is an idol, you lead God's children astray, shame. What does the scriptures tell us? Jeremiah 29:7 says, but seek the welfare of the city which I have sent you into exile. This is, of course, referring to the Jews that were sent into exile because of the Babylonian Empire coming in. But this still applies to us because of what we see also in the New Testament. This is let me go there for a moment. Let me pull these scriptures up, and I'm going to keep playing the Trump video, and then I'll get those scriptures for you in a moment. Because being a Christian, well, people say Christian nationalist, but being a Christian and a nationalist, I love my country, but I am a Christian that wants this country to still be, be the top dog of all the other nations, because it's the country in which I live in. So I want a strong country. I want strong leaders. We need protection, of course, strong borders. And if anybody wants to come here, allow them to go through the process and reward those who have been trying to do it the right way. Trump most certainly loves immigrants. He's married to one who has now become a citizen. J.D. Vance is also married to one who's now become a citizen. So he's pro-immigration. I'm pro-immigration, but pro-legal immigration. Don't allow anybody to cut in line of those who are trying to get in the country the right way. For reals. Nobody likes line cutters when it comes to things of this brevity. Now, when it comes to line cutters, when you're getting your Starbucks or whatever, it doesn't matter. When you're getting your Chick-fil-A, your Chick-fil-A on a Sunday, Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. You say, should we make the process easier? I think we should make this process, of course, I mean, maybe there is ways to make it easier. I don't know all the intricacies of how the process works. The filing, I mean, the hundreds and thousands of applications that they probably are still processing or in the process of having these people, because they have to do the research. They have to research their history. First of all, I think we need to understand exactly who we want to come into this country. Research their social medias, research their background in their own country, the laws, if they broke any laws, and then how they've done if they're already here under a temporary document that allows them here. Vet them to the most so that we can understand that we're bringing in people that are not going to cause terror on our own citizens. They're not going to go getting CDLs and killing American citizens. Making illegal U-turns in the middle of a freeway. A semi-truck, mind you. It's like, sure, should we make it easier? Maybe there's processes to eliminate the sort of extremely long wait times, but also we want to make sure that they also assimilate with the country, assimilate with the culture, understand America and its values and where its founding came from. And also, yes, not all immigrants are like that. Some of them are working incredibly hard to just live here. They're working a normal job. They're trying to make ends meet. And in some of the cases, this is all they know. They don't even know their own country as they know America. I want to pause for a comment here in a moment. Oh, man. Okay. Excuse me for 1 second. My camera died. I'm going to plug it in. 1 sec. That terrible mistake, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm going to play this video for you of Trump, and he's going to give you some of the crime statistics. I think he is. And then we'll continue on here.
The planet, I hate to say, but in this country, to a totally safe city. It's nothing's crime-free, I guess, but this is about as close to crime-free as you're going to get. And you guys have done an incredible job with that. Every one of you have worked so hard on this one, and it's our nation's capital. And people would go to the nation. They'd go from, I always say, Iowa, Indiana. They'd go from Florida. They'd come up. They want to see the monument. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial. I want to see one of the monuments, any one of them, and they'd go home in a coffin. But not anymore. It's not happening anymore. We haven't had that happen in a long time. It was averaging more than one a week, one person a week. Who would think that's possible? And it hasn't happened anymore. And we have a safe city. We have a city where the restaurants are booming. People are going out. Nobody's being mugged, hit over the head with a baseball bat. None of the stuff is gone. We took out 1,700 criminals, many of them career criminals, many of them given to us by Joe Biden and his ridiculous open borders policy. They came in from jails from all over the world, not just South America, from all over the world. Jails, they came in from mental institutions and insane asylums all over the world, drug dealers, and we got them the hell out of here. They're either that, or if they're so bad, as I said before, we put them in jail because we can't take a chance that they come back. But I want to just say that Washington, D.C. is such an example of what could be done. And now the same thing's happening in Memphis. We're just halfway through the process, and already the numbers are far superior, far better than what we would have thought at this time. And Chicago, I just saw the number. Last week, it was last weekend, 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. And then I have this guy Pritzker, is a very weak governor. Let me be nice. I'm going to be very nice. He's extremely weak. He's pathetic. I have Pritzker get up and say how great they're doing in Chicago. They're doing very poorly. So 4 were murdered, 4, 11 were shot. I would say, and that was not a bad week for him. Okay, that was not a bad week. He's had somewhere 18 or 19 were murdered. And you know what his excuse was? Yeah, but that was a long weekend. Okay, can you believe it? He said that was a long weekend. He's bad. And the mayor is worse. I mean, that mayor is worse. Low IQ, very low IQ. And we don't need low IQ people. We need people that are going to take care. And I love Chicago, and I love those beautiful women, black women, beautiful women wearing MAGA hats. And they're all over the place in Chicago. They want protection. They don't care if it's the National Guard, if it's the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines. They'll take Space Force, okay?
I do want to address a comment here for a moment. It says that the media is hyper-focused on small amounts because not all undocumented immigrants commit crimes. Now, I understand what you're saying here. However, anybody who's here that came into the country under the Biden administration broke the law right away as soon as they crossed the border. They broke the law. Now, Biden temporarily allowed them to come over by the CBP app with the catch and release system. However, the fine print in the CBP app people didn't realize that it said that the next administration, this could all be changed with the next administration. If you come into the country illegally, you break the law. And of course, as well-intentioned as some, want to come to this country because there's free speech, but then there's some that are coming to this country to make it how their country was. Within the case of, I'll give you an example. This guy, maybe we'll see him, I don't know. Maybe he'll become something. I don't know. But this is weird.
Fucking rule. I'm here.
And by the way, excuse the language. There's already going to be foul language up in this. So if you've got any kids near you, 12:28, they shouldn't be up anyway. But even if they're, maybe they're playing games and you got this on the back. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are doing at this hour. Maybe it's not even, it's 12:28 a.m. my time. If you got kids around you, just know that there's foul language in this.
To rule you, to rule Trump, to rule Elon Musk, to rule Netanyahu, to rule Jews.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. With that attitude. What a strange thing to.
So this is the same mindset of those who come into the United States. This is, of course, it says this man had some stuff to tell the British public. This is in UK, London. Okay. But this is the same mindset that is here in America. Same mindset.
Say. It's a very poor attitude. You're a great guest. You're a great guest in this country. No. You're a great guest.
Look, again, they're dealing with these problems. This has been going on for the last 10 years where they didn't believe it was going to happen. Now, I do need to play, I'm going to have to play a clip from you, for you, of something that Charlie Kirk said in Japan, and then what the new Japan Prime Minister said. She said that she wants to start from ground zero when it comes to immigration. It's going to be very interesting to see that. I played it yesterday, but there was a lot of people in there having their own conversations in the chat, yes, which happens, I get it. Their own debates in the chat. So I'm gonna play this for you in a moment. I'm gonna cue it up for you so we can see exactly what he was communicating, and then versus what the Prime Minister of Japan is saying. So let's continue with this clip.
Yeah, so you're a guest here. And you're saying you want to rule us?
This is my land.
Is it? Is it? Okay, got it. Okay.
Just to confirm, you are staying in the hotel, right?
No.
You're not staying in the hotel?
I can stay in the hotel. I can.
I thought you were staying here.
You know, at some point we will be going home.
I'm
you know
homeless
that.
at the moment.
You'll be going back home soon at some point.
No,
yes, you
it's
will.
up to me.
No, actually, it'll be up to us.
Would you send me?
I would, yeah.
Send me.
I would if I could. If I could, I would.
Send me.
If I could, I would.
Call
in a heartbeat.
Call 999.
They don't care. But at some point,
Call NATO. Call
in the
Netanyahu.
future, in the Netanyahu. What the fuck? Oh, yeah, 1 second. Let me just get on the phone to Netanyahu. Yeah. So the coordinates. Hashtag. Send in the F-35.
He's not.
We have the.
He's not high. Even if he's high, tell him if he's not high.
So you don't live here? We thought you lived here.
I'm homeless. I'm here in front of you. In front of this.
You're well dressed for a homeless man.
You're on the hotel grounds.
Huh? Well dressed for a homeless man. Your English is very good as well. When did you come here?
Because I'm the king, man.
You're the king?
This is why I'm well dressed. This is why I'm confident. This is why I'm polite. This is why.
I wouldn't say that's very polite. It's not polite to come to someone and say that you're going to rule me.
I've lived here.
Yeah.
Now, he might have some mental issues. I don't know. I really don't know. But this is still concerning because, I mean, look what they're doing in UK. There was a video that I played of an application that was submitted, or rather a job posting for a Sharia law. Somebody to oversee the Sharia law in UK. This job posting, we played it yesterday. We don't need to play it today, but you know what? Maybe I'll play it for those that haven't seen this. So let me cue up the clip. And that way we can give you a better context as to what is happening.
The Manchester Community Centre is looking to hire a Sharia law administrator in the UK. This job was posted on a government website, the UK Department for Work and Pensions website, a literal government-run job portal. But England is governed by statutory law and common law. It's not governed by Sharia law. Well, if you import enough of them, they will change that because they are electing officials who want to implement Sharia law. This is not some big conspiracy theory. It's happening. They posted it on a government website. They are not coming to assimilate. They're coming to take over. They're coming to invade from within. They're telling us over and over and over again, and we keep inviting them in. We're not just inviting them in, we're paying for their stay. Islam is inherently incompatible with the West.
Now, immigration without assimilation is an invasion. That is a quote from Charlie Kirk that he's often shared with his audience. Because in order to have successful immigration, you need to assimilate with the
out goes.
Here we go. We need to assimilate. They need to assimilate with the American economy, with the American culture. Or rather, not economy, with the American culture, with the values of America, how America came about in the first place, knowing its history. Not the woke history, but the actual history. So what is xenophobic about this? We're talking about everybody coming into the country, not specifically targeting any particular group of people. Everybody needs to assimilate. Because then we start to hear the people that hate America, yet they don't want to leave America. I just don't understand it. All right, so this is Charlie Kirk talking about. Here we go. Let's see. All right, we're gonna play this clip for you here. This is him. This is Charlie Kirk in Japan.
America.
Okay, one more.
Mass immigration was one of the defining issues that propelled President Trump towards election in both 2016 and 2024. But it was very simple. We asked a series of questions. In America, we said, do you want your hometown to be more people that speak Spanish or English? It was very simple. You see, a nation is also, the globalists seek to eliminate the 3 Ps by getting rid of borders, language, and culture. So a very simple question that I would ask here in Japan that I mentioned in my speech, do you want school children in Japan to learn Japanese? The language. Of course you do, right? But not Arabic. And we laugh, but you know what? People in London would have laughed 40 years ago at an event just like this. And yet more.
Okay, so that's the first clip. Let me go to the second clip.
People in London would have laughed 40 years ago at an event just like this. And yet more people are going to speak Arabic in London in 20 years from now than today. So you have to make it very real, very tangible. The problem is that Tokyo is so nice and that Japan is so great that you're almost in a place where it's very easy to be apathetic. Oh, this will never happen here. We've stood the test of time. Remember, they said the sun would never set on the British Empire.
And what we've also seen, what I showed on the podcast yesterday, this is the Japan Prime Minister, newly elected Japan Prime Minister. Let's take a look. So I'm gonna read the captions here in case you can't see them, which you should, but she says, as for me, I want to have a calm, mutually considerate relationship with foreigners. How can we live together in such a way? She says, I intend to reconsider it completely. And this is, again, that video of Charlie Kirk speaking in Japan was not that much longer from this video that is being played. This was posted, I want to say, a couple days ago. I plan to rethink. I plan to think about it from zero again, because year after year, the culture between us and everything else is so very different. This is the warning. Without assimilation, cultures begin to clash, and it literally, you become the third world that was imported. Yet people are being brought in all together. To keep bringing them in, this policy, we must pause and reconsider it. Those who come with economic motives and claim to be refugees, such people will be properly sent home. Also regarding those who overstayed illegally, they too will be strictly required to obey the law. You say, truthful, you've only seen hate grifting so far. So what has been hateful about what I'm saying exactly? You've got 200 characters. You can most certainly fit a couple things in. You don't have to go on a whole tangent in the chat. You can fit it in 200 characters. Tell me exactly what I'm being hateful about. About upholding the laws of America? It's fine for every other country to do it, but not America? Doesn't matter who the president is. If the president is not upholding the laws, why is the president the president? And now apparently, according to the comments, I'm xenophobic. Because what? I want the American culture to thrive? Because we're Americans, those of us that live in America, what do we want other cultures to thrive rather than America? Or do we want other people to insert their own types of ideologies? Again, talking about, since everybody's calling me a xenophobic, radical Islam. I don't hate Muslims. But anybody who's practicing Islam to the core, those who understand based on the charters that they've put out, is actually dangerous. They call for the elimination of the Jews. They also call for the elimination of America. So I'm xenophobic apparently. When that's not even the case, when that's not even the truth. But people like to attach names to you because they just don't agree with you. I can't help them at that point because they resort to blatant. CF, by the way, thank you for being here, appreciate it. Resort to blatant, just outright lies, name calling, and that's it. To take a break from the sort of political stuff, and maybe this might involve some political stuff, but let's take a look at this article here. This is something that has been happening within the NBA. Here we go. At Feds, it says games involving the Lakers, Raptors, Hornets, Trailblazers included in NBA gambling scheme. Members of an illegal gambling ring shared non-public information regarding the Lakers, Hornets, Trailblazers, and Raptors, according to the Department of Justice. The teams themselves had no knowledge of or involvement in the gambling scheme, but information about them was allegedly spreading illegally to those wagering on their games. Those implicated in the sharing of illegal gambling information are Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and 49-year-old former NBA player Damon Jones. Both are among the 31 individuals arrested in connection with the sports rigging scheme, with illegal poker rings allegedly run by the mob. The scheme investigated by the FBI probe ran from January 2022 to March 2024. During that time, Rozier and Jones allegedly shared information on injuries and which players would be inactive for games. Jones, who was a longtime friend of Lakers star LeBron James, allegedly told members of his ring on February 9, 2023, says that James was hurt and would not be available for the Lakers game against the Bucks. It says, get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out, Jones wrote, according to the indictment. The Lakers lost the game. James is not accused of any wrongdoing. Defendants used this non-public information to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets, mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. Wow. This is according to the indictment. When Rozier was playing for the Charlotte Hornets, he allegedly told friends he planned to leave a March 23rd, 2023 game with the purported injury. His friends then used that information to bet over $200,000 on Rosier to make the under on prop bets. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch then says that Rosier left the game after playing only 9 minutes. His friends who had cashed in on his tip showed up at the player's house after the game and counted their winnings. This is crazy. I want to know you guys' thoughts on this. I mean, it's not a surprise. When people gamble, they do crazy things. But I'd just like to take that moment to just kind of break away for a moment from the political stuff. You say, can you mention ICE without comment being deleted? I'm not sure. That's a comment here from Gotta Go Tag. But guys, I do want to say, I just want to pop in here and say, I'm so grateful for those who are joining the chat and debating and all that stuff. It's always an awesome thing that everybody gets to share their opinions with others. Now, of course, I don't have the ability to read all these messages all at once because then I'm trying to fight 50 different battles with those who oppose me. 50, 10, whatever the number is. I'm just giving a arbitrary number. Now, I did want to go to the scriptures here for a moment because we talk about loving our country. Loving our country is very important because when we love our country, we seek the welfare of our country, God begins to bless us as we seek out that welfare. So I'm going to go here and let's see. This is 1 Timothy 2, 1 through 4. Let me bring into that passage here. Okay, so it says, first of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good, and it is pleasing in the sight of God, our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. Then it goes on to say, for there is one God and there is one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. So it's not Trump. It's not some king. It's not King Charles. I'm not talking about me, King Charles. I'm talking about King Charles. We're talking about any other leader. The one mediator between God and men is Christ Jesus. God most certainly governs in the affairs of man. Verse 6 says, who gave himself as a ransom for all, which is the testimony given at the proper time. For this I was appointed a preacher and an apostle. I am telling the truth, I am not lying, a teacher of the Gentiles in faith and truth. I desire then that in every place that men should pray. Oh boy, I just completely... it says men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger or quarreling, likewise that women should adorn themselves with respectable apparel, with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly attire. Of course, referring to the culture and that time and what these symbolized. We can apply some of that, of course, to some of our modern day. Here we go, Jeremiah 9:27. What we went through but seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. You seek the welfare of the city. Now, Jeremiah, in the context of what's going on during the exiles, the Babylonian exiles, we have the fact that God said, unpack your bags. You're going to be here for a while. All of the prophets warned the Israelites because of their turning away from God, because of their idolatry. Even Hosea has a very powerful message when God tells him to do a very, I don't know, you would say radical thing maybe. Might seem random to some, but God is displaying his love for the Jewish people. So this is what it says: the word of the Lord came to Hosea, the son of Beri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, says, when the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, go and take yourself a wife of whoredom and have children of whoredom. And the land commits, it says, for the land commits great whoredoms by forsaking the Lord. Now, God is going to show us a great example of his love for Israel. So this is Hosea going. It says he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And the Lord said, call his name Jezreel, for in just a little while I will punish the house of Jehu for the blood of Jezreel. And I'll put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. And on that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. She conceived again and bore a daughter. And the Lord said to him, call her name No Mercy, which is the name of Lo Ruhama. For I will no more have mercy on the house of Israel to forgive them at all. Then he says, but I will have mercy on the house of Judah, and I will save them by the Lord their God. I will not save them by the bow or by sword or by war or by horses or by horsemen. Then it says, when she had weaned no mercy, she conceived and bore a son, and the Lord said, call his name Not My People, which means Lo-Ami. For you are not my people, and I am not your God. But if we go down and we continue on with Hosea, talking about all these different things that God says, God then, through all of this, begins to show his love for Israel. It says, when Israel was a child, I loved him. And out of Egypt, I called my son. The more they called, the more they called, the more they went away. They kept sacrificing to the idols, to the Baals, and burning offerings to idols. Says, yet it was I who taught Ephraim to walk. I took them by their arms, but they did not know that I healed them. I led them with cords of kindness, with bands of love, and I became to them as one who eases the yoke on their jaws. And I bent down to them and fed them. They shall not return to the land of Egypt, but to Assyria shall be their king, because they have refused to return to me. The sword shall rage against their cities, consume their bars of their gates, and devour them because of their own counsels. Now, all throughout the scriptures, all throughout Ezekiel, all throughout Isaiah, we talk about the Israelites, God giving them chance after chance after chance after chance, and God will continue giving them chances, even though he warns them in the book of Deuteronomy of what happens when they decide to not follow his commands, where they begin to then receive the curses that God says to the Israelites, what they're going to be cursed with. A short amount of blessings and a long list of cursings. But God continues to show his mercy, not only to the people of Israel, but to the everyday person who's not a Jew, because the Jews are God's chosen people. This is God's the apple of God's eye. Now, remember what God told Jeremiah. Let me go there. This is going to be Jeremiah 31. That Israel ain't going nowhere. Because in verse 35, here we go. We'll start here. It says, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt." We just read about some of that in Hosea. "My covenant that they broke, though I was their husband, declares the Lord, for this is the covenant." By the way, YouTube punk, how is it that the Israelites, the suffering servant, we're trying to attach Israel, we're trying to keep it a sort of dogmatic point of view as to what Isaiah says concerning the suffering servant, being that it is referenced as a he. However, here, God is their husband. So wouldn't that make the Israelites or the house of Israel the woman? I mean, this is clear. So you can't have this dogmatic, you shouldn't have this dogmatic approach when scripture here in Jeremiah talks about the fact that God is the husband. I mean, he's bringing a sort of, the language that is being used here, of course, is trying to help the reader understand God's relationship with Israel. So if we're just going to say a hard, well, no, the suffering servant is just for the male, or is just a person, or is just referenced as Israel, exactly. So we can't have this hard approach as to this only means Israel. I think you should open up your mind to that for a moment. Really think it through. Think it through harder. I'm not inserting the dogma here. I'm not inserting that dogma because why Jesus fulfilled that in the New Testament. It's well documented. Well documented. He fulfilled the prophecies. You say he's not the Messiah because he didn't fulfill all prophecies, but again, he doesn't have to fulfill all the prophecies in order to fit the Messiah mold there. Because if you're missing Daniel 9:27, you're missing all the other verses that concerning Jesus, talking about the Psalms, about them casting lots for the garments, about them piercing his side and his hands. You're avoiding the fact that this is referring to Christ. Anyway, so Israel not going anywhere, says right here, says, "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall each one teach his neighbor and his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me. From the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more." Then he goes on to say, "Thus says the Lord, who gives the sun for light by day, and fixed the order of the moon and the stars for light by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar." This is scientific right here too, because we know that the moon, wherever it is positioned around the earth, it actually causes the waves to rise where the moon is. And only science figures this out thousands of years later. But God is saying it here. Who fixed the order of the moon and the stars for light by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. It says the Lord of hosts is his name. Now we could also say that this is referring to the Lord as well, because of the next verse, or the next line says, who stirs up the seas so that its waves roar, the Lord of hosts is his name. We can go either way. If this fixed order departs from before me, declares the Lord, then shall the offspring of Israel cease from being a nation before me forever. Israel ain't going nowhere. Israel ain't going nowhere. It says, thus says the Lord, if the heavens can be measured and the foundations of the earth can be explored, the foundations of the earth below can be explored, then I will cast off all the offspring of Israel for all that they have done, declares the Lord. Interesting. Somebody said, is it true you won't read Matthew 25, 35 through 46? We can read it right now if you guys want. We're going to read it? Sure. Let's go there. Now, when I go there, tell me what it is that you're concerned about Matthew 25, 35 through 46. Because this has been mentioned already in the chat prior, if you've been here long enough, that you have to go through the context. We'll start in 31, just for a sort of immediate context, as when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come you and who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world, from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me food, and I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And he said, and the king will answer them, truly, I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger and you did not welcome me. Naked and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison you did not visit me. Then they also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and did not minister to you? And then he will answer them, saying, truly, truly, I say to you, as you did not do it to the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. So what is it concerning this passage? Say, I'm concerned that a lot of us don't live by these words anymore. You know what you remind me of saying that? I mean, you remind me of Elijah when he thought he was the only prophet left. What did God say? God said, I have 7,000 others. 7,000 others. And YouTube Punk, to your comment, you say the least of these undocumented immigrants, cough, cough, refugees, cough, cough. Again, you're completely brushing over the fact that they came, the ones that came under the Biden administration, they opened up the borders and they allowed many to come in. They allowed them to flood in. They came in illegally. They broke the law. The left love to attach themselves to this mindset. They love to attach themselves to this mindset. We're spending billions on hate? No, we're spending billions to protect our country. They want to come back the legal way. Since when is it wrong to not follow the laws? We all break laws every day. And don't take that comment out of context. We break the laws of God every day. We break the laws of God every day by simply, we just say the 10 Commandments. Those who don't believe in God, they've already broken the first law. Broken some other laws. Again, YouTube Punk, you say, listen to you talking like this while living on stolen land. Okay. You want to go there, stolen land. So now we have to talk about which part of the history you want to go over. Do you want to go over the Jamestown settlement, or do you want to go over the Plymouth settlement? Because you've got one-sided, so far, what I've seen from you is one-sided, just not even regarding anything else of history. Say Jesus was a refugee. A refugee where? He was born in Bethlehem. A settlement that banned Christians. Okay. Be more specific. I don't know if you know your history, man. Because we can go through a whole sort of history lesson if we want to. But that's going to be, I don't know, probably boring for those who actually, they don't want to know the truth. Maybe, I don't know. Let's read the Plymouth Charter for a moment. It says, okay, know ye that the said council, in consideration that William Bradford and his associates have for these 9 years lived in New England aforesaid, and have there inhabited and planted a town called by the name of New Plymouth, at their own proper costs and charges, and now seeing that by the special providence of God and their extraordinary care and industry that they have increased their plantation to near 300 people, and are upon all occasions able to relieve any new planters or others his majesty subjects who may fall upon that coast, do grant unto the said William Bradford, his heirs, associates, and assignee, all that part of New England in America. In 1629, William Brewster wrote of the Plymouth plantation of Massachusetts Bay Colony at Salem, the church that had brought over the ocean now saw another church, the firstborn in America, holding the same faith and the same simplicity of self-government under Christ alone. The land changed hands through tribal conflicts, trade, treaties long before Europeans arrived. U.S. expansion followed wars, purchases, and legal agreements, not simple theft. Let's continue on here. It says, let's see if we can find. Oh, this is a book I'd have to purchase. But anyway, yeah. So if you guys want more information, you guys can go to AmericanMinute.com. And Bill Federer has many resources concerning American history. Just type in the search feature. You're saying he was a refugee. Was he a refugee in Jerusalem? Hello? Okay, they fled to Egypt. Okay. Do you know the laws of Egypt during that time? Do you know how I don't know. God told them to go there. They went. So what are the laws during that time? Let me ask you that. Do you know? We don't have any documentation as to how that went when they got there. When they got there, what exactly happened? Maybe you know, because it's not documented at all. They fled to Egypt. God told them to return back, but instead they went to a town called Nazareth. Okay, your hypothetical makes, by the way, YouTube Punk, your hypothetical does not make any, it does not bear any grounds for your argument. And of course, America allows refugees to come. So what is the contention here? There's no argument here. They're coming in here illegally is not fleeing oppression. If they're under oppression, they would most certainly go through the right way to get asylum or to seek asylum. But coming in here illegally so they can get here faster, they can most certainly hide however they would in their own country. They can flee oppression in their own country. It's probably not ideal, obviously. But of course they want to come to America because America is free. America doesn't have dictatorship. America doesn't have rulers like kings or monarchs. Rather, but you've got to be you got to be smarter than that, dude. Because under a proper administration, you don't just cross the border immediately. You've got to go through literally the process in order to have any type of documentation to allow you into the country to be here because you're seeking asylum. Not even mad, dude. You're literally, your argument is baseless, man. I'm sorry, but not sorry. Say, why are you doing a vertical show? Doing a vertical show because this is the format that I'm able to supply you guys with this live show, and ultimately, it's great to be on the live shorts feed. Easier to produce. Grim, YouTube, you're not responding to Grim. What's going on? Somebody said USA ain't a Target store. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Zach. You're saying they didn't go to a police station or government building to say they were asylum seekers. What do? They just crossed the border. They realized that there was a way to do a sort of catch and release under the CBP app. I mean, I guess we'd have to figure out all of the, I don't know, application, or not the applications, but the way that they documented themselves under the CBP app. If this information is available, the data that they captured as to what how did this app even operate? Alex, a lot of stuff is in store. You know what? I do want to go back to, for a moment. Let's go over to, let's go to Zoran Mamdani, because he is, I don't know, maybe he's becoming more and more unpopular. Zoran Mamdani, this is a poll. This is foreign-born voters are behind socialist Zoran Mamdani's huge lead in NYC mayoral race. So decades of mass legal immigration to New York City, New York, have propelled socialist Zoran Mamdani campaign to the city's next mayor. A new poll reveals. This is the poll published by Patriot Polling, shows New York City's foreign-born voters are lining up in droves to support Mamdani, an immigrant himself, and his socialist agenda against former New York Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo. This is in lifelong New Yorker Curtis Sliwa, says while the poll shows Mamdani leading with 43 points in the mayoral race compared to Cuomo's 32%, and Sliwa, I don't know how you say it, Sliwa, 19%. His lead with the city's foreign-born voting base is vastly larger. As meanwhile, among native-born Americans in New York City, Cuomo leads with 40%, while Mamdani falls to 31%, and Sliwa gains with 25%. I'm just going to say Curtis. Says Catholic and Jewish voters, the poll finds, are also turned off to Mamdani, with just 29% of Catholics supporting the socialist and 30% of Jews. Cuomo leads with both groups, 41% in Catholics and 63% from Jews. This is interestingly, despite Mamdani claiming to be the voice of New York City's downtrodden poor and working class, his base of support resides in the most expensive boroughs, Manhattan and Brooklyn. It says the poll sees Mamdani leading in Manhattan, where the average rent is more than $5,700 a month, with 47%, and in Brooklyn, where the average rent is nearly $4,500 a month, with 55%. But Mamdani's race, according to his latest debate, seems like he is not winning, or I don't know, maybe they Curtis and Andrew Cuomo, they most certainly prepared more for this second round. Let's take you over to this clip here. This is Fox News reporting on this. I'll take it with a grain of salt, most people. could care less, and I could care less.
Heated final debate before the election, less than 2 weeks away. New York City mayoral candidates sparring over Zohran Mamdani's idea for the economy, including raising the minimum wage.
The reason that we put forward $30 by 2030 is that that's the minimum that a New Yorker needs to be paid to be able to afford to live in this city. Our proposal that we've put forward would be phased in over a longer period of time for small business owners to ensure that they could deal with this.
Zoran, stop dealing with fantasy and start dealing with reality.
Zoran does have socialist theory colliding with practical reality.
Monet Ukwe-Barua from the Wall Street Journal editorial board joins me now. Monet, look, we could sit here and talk about whether a $30 minimum wage is reality. I don't think it is. I don't think that's the important question this morning. The important question, did those two candidates do enough damage to Zohran Mamdani to make any impact on the election, or is this basically a fait accompli at this point?
Well, there's no doubt that they did damage. I think that Andrew Cuomo had the temperature turned up on his attacks on Mamdani for the first time in the debate. You saw him reiterating critiques of Mamdani's lack of experience, his friendliness with Hamas and radical Islam in Gaza, and those were really having Mamdani rattled. He's usually very slick, but he seemed to be a little bit uncomfortable. Very same thing with Curtis Sliwa. The question is it too late now? A lot of New Yorkers are about to start voting. Mamdani has a very big lead in the polls, and so it doesn't seem as if there's enough time to close the gap, even though a lot of people are starting to see the downsides of Mamdani's campaign.
Yeah, I think that's a concern. And there's also this notion out there like, okay, let's say Sliwa does drop out. Is every single Sliwa person going to then vote for Cuomo? And I think the answer to that is a no, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, first of all, Curtis Sliwa is not dropping out. He has said very firmly, only way I'm getting out of this race is in a pine box. So he's in it until the end. But I do think a lot of his supporters are Republicans who don't like Andrew Cuomo, think he was a bad governor, think that he led to deaths of people during COVID, and they would rather stay home than vote for Andrew Cuomo, even if Sliwa wasn't on the ballot.
Let's go across the river to New Jersey in the gubernatorial race there. Candidates holding dueling rallies today. But it's not really about the rallies. It's about, I don't know, this odd video from the Democrat gubernatorial candidate, Mikey Sherrill. Watch.
Hola, Nueva Jersey. Mi español no es muy bueno, pero quiero hablar directamente a la comunidad latina. Soy Mikey Sherrill, candidata por gobernadora.
Oh, no, Monet. Every cycle we see this inauthentic outreach from a Democrat. Remember Jill Biden and breakfast tacos? Why do they continue to do this? Why don't they learn their lessons?
Well, it's incredible because you just look at the counterexample, which is Donald Trump increasing his vote share among Hispanics by a massive amount in 2024. And he didn't do that by recording videos in the Spanish language. He did that by saying, I'm going to lower your taxes. I'm going to get you a better job. I'm going to do the things that your family actually cares about. You see a lot of Democrats thinking.
Now, I do want to check this post out here. This is Chinese owned. This is the New York Post here. It says, let me get out of this. So it says Chinese-owned TikTok allegedly meddling in NYC mayoral race by boosting Mamdani content over Cuomo. Now, Mamdani most certainly is very active on social media, catering to both young and old alike, and people are favoring him because he's got this sort of millennial vibe to him. He's got this young, hip, we need somebody young, is a lot of what people are saying, to run New York, not some old guy. They'd rather, anybody else other than an American to run. One who knows the streets of New York, one who knows the economy of New York. I mean, these are the choices that they have. Not even necessarily the best choices, but seems like Curtis is sort of spiking a little bit in sort of his in favoritism. But it says TikTok is allegedly putting its thumb on the scale to help far-left New York State Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani win the New York City mayoralty. With a new report claims this is the Chinese-owned app's algorithm is distorting the playing field in New York City's mayoral race by amplifying pro-Mamdani content while suppressing videos backing his opponent, Andrew Cuomo, according to a Tel Aviv-based tech insider who cited a key leaked document from the social media company. It says early evidence points to algorithmic influence that may be shaping voter perception, in the New York elections. Yehonatan Dodles wrote in a Medium post published Tuesday. Says he noted that TikTok's algorithm doesn't just determine which videos go viral, it's shaping what millions of people understand to be true about the world. TikTok strongly rejects the findings, as this is nothing more than a deliberate attempt to push a political objective through a bogus study that is not based on any form of reality. It said in a statement. The story falls well short of basic journalistic standards. Dodles and his team, or Dodles, I don't know how to pronounce this, and his team focused on a leaking onboarding document that TikTok provides to newly hired software engineers. It'd be interesting to check that out, but let's continue on here.
I have to appeal on an identity basis, and that's going to be the ticket. But they're actually losing share among a lot of minority voters in New Jersey, and I think that they're getting desperate, and this shows that.
Yeah, Trump's not physically on the ballot, but let's face it, Trump's always on the ballot. Listen to this. A Rutgers Eagleton poll showing 52% of likely New Jersey voters view Trump as a major factor in their vote. But it doesn't say how that breaks down. So how do you think that plays? Do you think that gives the edge to Ciattarelli turning out the vote because Trump says, I want you to vote for my guy Jack? Or the far left Democrat in New Jersey turns out because they hate Trump and they vote for Mikey Sherrill?
Like I mentioned, Trump has gained a lot of support in New Jersey compared with past Republicans, but at the end of the day, New Jersey is still a deep blue state. Most voters there do not like Donald Trump, and that's why you see Mikey Sherrill's entire campaign is mostly saying Ciattarelli is going to execute Trump's policies here in the state, and she's going to excite a lot of left-wing voters in New Jersey to come out and vote based on that.
And we see the 5-point gap right now. While the gaps are closing in both of these races, Mamdani still has a huge lead.
And yeah, he might still win the race. We don't know. We don't know exactly, but I think there is a lot to cover here in the next coming months, actually in November, but otherwise this is just around the corner. We got a lot coming in November, a lot of stuff happening, and we'll see what is going to continue to happen with this government shutdown and everything that is ultimately going to go down with, this economy, and how we're going to get these people paid. We need to open up the government. We need to open it back up. The Democrats, they just need to fold because, this is all nonsense. Holding the American people hostage so they can get what they want. Terrible, 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 terrible. But guys, I appreciate for all of your candor here, appreciate all of your comments, even those that disagree with me completely. You guys are always welcome here. You guys are always loved. Just so you know, you guys are loved, even though you guys think that I don't like you or whatever. You guys may think whatever you want to think. You have the freedom to think so, but I do love you guys because God wants all to come to the knowledge of the truth. I'm not the truth, but his scriptures, his word point to the truth, and that is the Lord Jesus Christ, who died and rose again, who died for your sins. Us as Americans, those who are watching in America, we have a duty and a responsibility to be a good citizen, to follow the laws of our land. For those that are watching outside of your country and you're looking into America and things are bad, please let us know in this chat. If what America is reporting or if what we're reporting here on this podcast is actually true, you can tell us where it is that we're falling short. Because what has happened in UK, what has happened in Canada, a lot of those who have commented in this chat before are also saying the same thing. The same sort of points that I'm bringing up when it comes to all of the different things that we've covered. Based on UK, based on London, what's happening there, Britain, all that stuff. They're saying it's a mess. Complete mess. And yes, YouTube punk, the Old Testament does talk about the Messiah dying. Read Isaiah 53, but you and I disagree. And many other passages that we can bring up. But otherwise, guys, I want to thank you so much for being in this podcast with me to debate, to discuss, to agree, to disagree. And I will most certainly see you guys on the next one, because we've still got a lot of stuff to cover. We still got a lot of stuff to look at and to present to you. And hopefully we can all come to our senses and to just honestly, truthfully, search out the truth. And that is God's word. Not what I'm saying, not what the media is saying, not what the right or the left is saying. God's word stands the test of time. Why? Because God's word is faithful. God's word will never be destroyed. And we will continue to fight for things that are good, true, and beautiful. Our country. That's a start. Our beliefs. The American founding. So I appreciate you guys for being here. I'll see you guys in the next one.